Hi, my name is Abigail Carlson, and for this project, I decided to do the book Becoming about Michelle Obama, just because I wanted to know what it was like, what she went through to become like the first African American first lady. So that's why I picked Becoming as my book. Overall, the book looks at her childhood, her career, her marriage, and then life becoming the first lady. Um, Michelle Obama, she lived with her her mother, father, and her brother in Chicago, the South Side of Chicago. Wasn't a very nice area. A lot of discrimination was going on. Low income. Her parents they didn't make much money. They just made enough to make ends meet. Um, Her parents' big thing was to really work hard to get a good education because that's what's going to get you further in life than allowing others to say things about you that's just not okay, like discriminating, just to overcome it. So they pushed her a lot to further her education, which she did. She then, in her early childhood, decided she wanted to further her education, and after graduating, she went to Princeton. And then after Princeton, she decided she wanted to go to law school, and she went to Harvard Law School, which is crazy because Harvard Law School at that time was mostly white males, and she was an African American woman getting into law school, and she worked for it. And then, so she went to law school, became a lawyer. She married Barack Obama, and then she realized that she did not like politics. So being a lawyer was not her thing. So she left the law career to work for a nonprofit, and she felt so much more relief. She felt like she was changing the world that way. She loved her job and felt so much more satisfied in what she was doing. Once she changed her career, they did. They then had two children, two girls, and then after that, their world kind of turned around. Barack decided he wanted to run for president, and he did, and he got elected. So not only was he the first African American president to be elected, Michelle was the first African American first lady to be in office. So that was a lot of adjusting. She realized she had to step up her game to get approval by others. Not approval, but to be heard by others. And then their family obviously had a lot of adjustments that they had to make, becoming family in the White House. And then after the term, they decided that was it and move on from that life. So now that I gave you like a little overview of kind of what the book talks about, that was a really brief overview. I'll talk about some leadership evidence that I definitely saw while reading the book, Becoming. In her childhood, she was a high achiever. She learned to read at the age of 4. Her parents helped push her, and she was never brought down by it. She had positive energy from her parents, which obviously helps her to not let like the discrimination get to her if she wasn't doing good in school, to keep working and she will get there. In college, she had the desire to achieve, and it was driven by other people's comments and everything, like the discrimination. You're a woman, you're not going to get into law school. You're an African American, you're not going to get into law school. You don't know what you're doing, type of thing. And then her success at Princeton made her go on to Harvard Law School, and she totally achieved everything there. She became a lawyer, and like I said, she got into Harvard Law School where it was predominantly white men, and she was an African American woman that got into Harvard Law School, which is amazing, crazy. And then what struck me is that she went to all that effort to become a lawyer, to prove everyone wrong, but she did what her heart told her. She was aware of her surroundings and what she needed, and she left that career to go work for a nonprofit because it fulfilled her more. And then she married Barack Obama. So life with Barack Obama after marrying him and everything, and her job change, they had to work through a lot of marriage counseling, which a lot of families and married couples do. And I love that she mentioned that in her book, because it makes others feel it's appropriate and it's needed in a healthy marriage. And then during the campaign, she learned that she had to adjust her speaking style. She tried not to offend people, so she wasn't political about what she was talking about much. It was more about what had driven her. And her first step that she wanted to make was, instead of it being a political thing, after she had talked to multiple first ladies and Nelson Mandela, that she needed to come out with a bang. Her first thing that she wanted to change, and it not be political. And she listened to everyone else, and she came out that she wanted to change the health in others, because her family had some health problems. Her daughters, they saw that health was a big thing. So then what she did for her first thing as being first lady was the health initiative versus politics. She let Barack Obama deal with politics. So then she dealt with the health side and what she felt was needed. So I touched on some of her leadership evidence. So after that, you can kind of get the gist of where I'm going for the theory, like her leadership theory that I feel she has. And I definitely went with servant leadership, just because in being a servant leader, there's like 10 characteristics that stick out. 1's listening, 2's empathy, 3's healing, 4's awareness, 5 is persuasion, 6 is conceptualization, 5 is foresight, 8 is stewardship, 9 is commitment to the growth of people, and 10 is building community. And I felt like she touched on about 6 to 8 of them, but I could definitely see 6 of them that stood out to me. She listened. She listened to she listened to her parents. She listened to her heart. She listened to what other people were telling her. She listened to all the first ladies when she was talking to them to try to figure out how she needed to do this. She listened to other leaders. And then empathy. She would stand in other people's shoes and be like, how are they feeling? How can I demonstrate what the followers are thinking and feeling? And then healing. She started the health initiative. She wants to heal people. She wants to make people whole. Servant leaders care about their followers' personal well-being, and she definitely did that. She didn't want to come across as being all political. She came across that she wanted to help others. She was aware. She was aware of how she needed to come across to people. She showed a lot of stewardship, because she took responsibility for how she needed to take her actions and how she needed to take care of business as being the first lady. And then she committed, after leaving her lawyer career, she showed commitment that she wanted people to grow, and she definitely did that. She also wanted to build a community. She did that by she was the first lady. She had a whole community around her. So those are just like major points that I think she proved that she's a servant leader. She's working for others. She's aware of her surroundings. She's empathetic. She listens. She's a great listener. And she's aware of her surroundings, which I think is a huge thing. So then after I had read her book, I had a couple questions that came to mind. One of them was being, what legacy will she leave in history as being the first African American first lady? Like, what is she going to pass on? How is she going to be seen? And then my other question was, as what she's gone through as a modern day leader, how does that compare to older leaders that we see as being different kind of leaders? So I just kind of wanted to know what has stayed the same as being a leader and what has changed through the years. So those are just the questions that I had a couple ideas about. But I hope you guys kind of understood what kind of leadership I saw as Michelle Obama being, and then just how great her book Becoming was of giving us evidence that she is a leader, and that what she went through in her life. So I hope you now get to read Becoming.